Hi and welcome chart artists. Today I'm going to show you where I plan to load up aggressively on my Solana bags. We can analyze Bitcoin here on a higher time frame, spend a little bit more time on Solana, how I'm working out the levels, where do I plan to load up aggressively. As always, please smash up the like, hit the subscribe for future notifications. And as always, if you'd like to trade with me like a king and stay profitable as a successful trader, these are my 3 favorite exchanges that I use on a daily basis for leverage trading and spot trading. So let's dive in and go straight to the price of Bitcoin here. Okay, on a higher time frame, and without making it too complex, let's look at Bitcoin here from a market structure perspective. I mean, we've been making higher highs, lower lows, higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, and now we are finally breaking market structure. Okay, ideally what you would like to see is for us to turn around here somewhere, either from where we are right now or a little bit higher. So from a simplicity perspective, I've got the VRVP. If you don't know this indicator, VRVP switched on here, and what this shows you is where was high volume traded during ranges. And I've got 2 pivots here, okay, to say that, well, if we do have to come up here, where are possible rejection areas? And I'm looking here at the 382, which has confluence with this point of control, okay, point of control where high volume was traded. And at the 50%, we've got confluence here with another point of control, high volume traded. The 618 feels like it's just in the middle of nowhere. So from a probability and a confluence perspective, it looks like if we do not reject at any of these 2 points and we do go higher, I am eyeing this point of control, which is from this little range over here. Okay. Also further up, we still have that value area high from the bull run during 2020. So definitely a 0.88 is perhaps the maximum target that I will be eyeing for that lower high for continuation to the downside. Okay. It does look from a market structure perspective that we need to come up here, make a lower high, and it can be anywhere in this area for continuation to the downside. If you'd like to get this alpha before anyone else, I've shared these scenarios in our Legends community early this morning already. So Legends, you know that you got the alpha first. Please join us in the Discord, link also down in the description if you'd like to get this alpha firsthand before anyone else. Right, let's dive into what we all came here for, Solana. Okay, and I'm going to go a little bit slower so that, we can keep up, and I'm going to brainstorm with you to say that, well, my Solana bags are too small and I need to increase them. Okay, I bought way too little Solana when we were during the bear market, and looking at this pump, I want to fill up my bags a little bit more aggressive, prepare for that potential bull market that lies ahead. And you need to be clever about it. It's not just about buying and hoping for the best. Hope is not a strategy. So what I want to share with you today is to say that where are the best load up zones from a spot perspective for the long term. You're riding out this bull market, and let's get right into it. Okay, first things first is to say that I'm not sure if everyone's aware, but when you go and click on this little icon here at the bottom, you will see that you have a regular and you have a logarithmic. Okay, regular is also known as linear, which most traders are using from a trading perspective. Logarithmic just expands the waves a little bit better so you can see the price action without condensing the price. For example, if I'm here on the linear, and if I start zooming into this price action, the price action to the left are very squashed and difficult to read and to see where's the resistance and the support. But when I go and switch on logarithmic, you will see that, okay, doesn't look that great, but when you go double click over there, wow, okay, now I can see the waves properly. So from an Elliott wave perspective, I want to see where are we and where can I potentially load up aggressively on my Solana bags for that nice little bull run that lies ahead. Okay, so from a logarithmic perspective, I then compare it to a linear perspective to try and find that sweet spot in terms of loading up my Solana bags. Okay, so for now, let's go through a little bit of the logarithmic scale that I have over years to say that, well, what if? I like to play what if scenarios to say that this was a 1, 2, 3, where we completed the 3, and we are now busy with a 4th wave to the downside to then go and complete the 5th wave. Okay, so now I need to go and test, well, does the scenario make sense? I need to go and plan to load up my spot bag, so I need to do a little bit of homework. And that's why I'm helping you to do this homework, is to say that, well, if this is a wave 3, does it meet minimum targets for wave 3 or common targets for wave 3? And how you work that out is you take the fib expansion from the bottom of 1 to the top of 1 and to the bottom of 2. You drag it across, and then you can see, okay, The 1.618, let me just grab this out the way. The 1.618 is a common third wave target. Right, okay, so that confirms that this is potentially a third wave, okay? We broke through, we couldn't hold the level, we consolidated, and now we are currently below the 1.618. Okay, so a common third wave target. The other way that you can then work it out is to say that, well, when you go on the log or the linear scale, now the level becomes interesting as well, is to say you can see the 618 levels are common third wave targets. You can see we smashed through the 1.618, then the 2.618, and you can see we've had consolidation at each level. When I zoom in here a little bit, okay, you can see the 1.618 had a consolidation, struggling to break through, then breaking through. 2.618, we had a consolidation below the level, and then we broke through. 3.618, we just smashed, okay, but we did come back and retest the 3.618. So quite significant levels from a trading perspective are your 618 levels from a Fibonacci perspective. Okay, cool. But you can see at the end of the third wave also hit the 5.618, and then we started finding the momentum to the downside. Okay, so the plan for me is I want to know, where do I load up? I want to add aggressively to my spot bags. Where's my load up zones? So taking the rules of Elliott wave theory into account, both from a linear and from a logarithmic perspective, I can now start identifying to say that how low can wave 4 go? Okay. Common targets, and let me take the fib expansion out the way, clean this up a little bit, is to say that, well, first things first, we have support below these lows. Okay. We consolidated, we broke through, and we could potentially come and retest this support for a potential bounce to the upside. Okay. Also, what you want to do is you want to take a fib from the bottom of 2, and you want to go and identify where are common fourth wave targets. Your fourth wave targets are generally the 382 and the 50% fib level. Okay, very common fourth wave targets. Rules state that if you come and hit the 0.618, it is potentially not a fourth wave and it's something else. Then you've counted something wrong, or it's going to become corrective to the upside. But for now, let's entertain this, because when you go back onto the logarithmic, this is where it gets interesting, is to say that, well, we also have support during this consolidation area, and when you drag it across, it's during this consolidation where we found support. Okay. Or resistance. We broke through, we haven't tested it as support as yet. Right. So now I can start identifying, well, where's my load up zones? If the 382 is a common load up zone, I want to start accumulating in this zone. Okay. What concerns me a little bit is we haven't touched the support or retested the support as yet. So I will potentially be waiting for a little bit lower to say that, well, let me take the scribble out the way. Okay. Definitely load up zone. Okay. On this support area, which is in confluence with this 382, perhaps weakening in for then a breakout to the upside. Okay. So yeah, between the $80 to the $76, $75, $69 mark is potentially your first load up zone. You don't want to go too aggressive in your first load up zone. You want to split your order and you want to load up as the price moves down. Okay, and potentially it doesn't hit your last order, but at least you've got most of your bags in for that potential explosion to the upside. The other thing that I'm then watching is to say that, well, if this is the fourth wave over here and we bounce, what if it's an ABC to the upside? Because the one thing that I'm not seeing here is that looking at the price of Bitcoin, what if Solana still needs to make an A, B, C to the downside, which could potentially come and tap the 0.618. So what I want to show you guys now is that when you go onto the logarithmic, things look a little bit different. Okay, now the levels look completely different. Make sure that your fib, when you go into your fib, here at the bottom, you are also setting it on log scale when you go into the logarithmic chart. Okay, now I want to identify more levels to see where there's levels of confluence between the linear and the logarithmic. Is to say that I've identified this as a load up zone. It does look a little bit high. And now from a logarithmic perspective, it here aligns with the 0.236. So perhaps that is not a great load up zone. A little bit further down, the 382 is here by the $52 mark. So could we find more momentum to the downside before we have that push up, which brings the fourth wave a little bit down? And it can go as low as the 50% fib level from a logarithmic perspective at $40. And if we do get to the $40 level, I will be buying extremely aggressively and adding to my spot bags. Okay, so from a logarithmic perspective, you can see that we can still go down way lower than what the linear is telling us. So what confuses a lot of people is to say that, well, I'm trying to count my Elliott wave theories, and it says that, well, if we hit the 618, then we are not going to claim this high again. And that's where you need to compare the logarithmic against the linear scale. And this is where it gets very confusing, is to say that, well, where do I load up? And what I'm trying, I guess the point that I'm trying to drive through here is to say that even if we come and tap from a linear perspective, the 618, and we can even put it here at this pivot over here, I will still be adding aggressively. So support aligns here with a 50% fib level, the lows over here. So this area for me is definitely a load up zone. Okay, $72 more or less. Further down we have the 618, which has confluence with this support and this little high over here, and this consolidation area that we still potentially need to contest. So perhaps the scenario that's going to play out in Solana is to say that, well, what if we consolidate here, this is an A wave, we make a B wave to the upside, and then we complete the fourth wave here by the 618. These are definite areas that I will be loading up to my spot bags. And from a simplicity perspective, you want to buy the red candles and you want to sell the green candles. So from a spot bag load up perspective, these are the areas that I'm looking at, is to say that $70 area and the $60, $50 area. And then from a linear perspective, you can go as low as $40 here by the 786. So perhaps the price comes all the way down here to the 0.786. Okay, which still means that the Elliott wave scenario is intact for a possible aggressive fifth wave to the upside. Okay, so let's go back here to the logarithmic, and now you can see, take the brushes out. Now I can see that, well, even if the fourth wave completes here by the $47 level, we can still go and claim this high over here. And this is what I'm preparing for, is to say, where are my load up zones, which I've identified. There's support over here, there's support over here, and there's also great support when you take this fib, $47 into perspective, and you scroll to the left, you can see that this fib has confluence with these highs over here. Okay, so definitely just clone this level. So this is definitely an area that I will be adding extremely aggressively to my spot bags. Okay, right, what else? I guess, just to summarize again, from a linear perspective, please go and play around with these settings. From a linear perspective, I am looking at from $47 all the way up here to about $60 will be great load up zones from a spot perspective. Okay, cool. Also, please keep this momentum in mind that I've got here. Let's go back to the linear. Give ourselves some more real estate. Okay, please keep in mind that we can bounce here on the 50% fib level as well, where even from where we are right now, I've got this momentum here to the downside. I want to see how we break. Okay. And because we don't know if this is going to be a B wave or then a C wave to the downside and then an explosion to the upside, that is why it's so important to take profits on your way up, where you basically look to the left and your high pivots are your TP1, 2, or 3, or 4, however you want to play it, because you don't know if this is, when it breaks this trend, if this is going to be a fifth wave where it takes the high, or whether it's going to be an A, B, C to the downside, then for the rocket to the moon. Okay, cool. I hope this makes sense. If you'd like the best investment strategy for your long-term portfolio, please go and check out this video. And you can apply this to Solana as well. That's it from my side. Until the next one, just for now.